In this video, we're going to see how you can upload and download a file in Hedera file service in 10 minutes or less. We're going to connect to the Hedera testnet, then we'll use the Hedera JavaScript SDK to send a write transaction that uploads a text file to Hedera file service. And finally, we'll use the SDK to send a query which downloads the same text file and compare it to see that it matches. I'm starting the timer now so that we can track how long it takes to complete the sequence. Alright, so I'm going to cd one directory up into the HFS files SDK directory, and then I'm going to copy the .env file that we created earlier on from in create and find account, the first hello world sequence, into the current directory. Then I'm going to navigate to that inside of VS Code, open up the .env file, just check that it has the same values as before. Let's close all the other files. Okay, I'm going to do an npm install, and while we're waiting for that, let's take a look at what's being installed, the Hedera JavaScript SDK as well as .env. Alright, opening up the script file. This is the main thing that we're going to be editing. And then we'll also open up the text file, right? So first we'll copy the text file, the sample one, into a new file, and then we'll open that up. And then replace your name with a nickname. In this case, I'm going to be using PGUIZ, whatever you prefer. Now we're going to open up the script file. Step 1, right? So find the code comment for step 1 and that comment that's adjacent to it. So we're going to be modifying file create transaction to call the .set contents, and we'll set it to local file contents, which are actually just read in from myfile.txt. And then we'll do .toString to convert that from a Node.js buffer into a string. Now moving on to step 2, we're going to do file contents query. So this is where we're going to read that file back from the network. In other words, download it. So file contents query, and then we'll do .setFileID, and then pass in the file ID, which we obtained from the response from creating that file earlier on. And that's it. Now we're ready to run the script. That should be node script HFS files SDK. Alright, so the file ID is output, the file create transaction ID is output. We can see that in the Explorer as well, that's the URL, and we can see the local file contents and the network file contents, which is download back. They match, they're exactly the same. Okay, so let's open up the Transaction Explorer URL, go to Hashcan, paste that in, and we can see that this is indeed a transaction that succeeded. There was a file create, the type of transaction is file create, as well as the file ID, which matches what we see in our output over here. So it looks like we took around 4 minutes to complete this sequence, which is great. So let's do a recap. First, we modified the text file as well as the script. The script used file create transaction and file contents query from the Hedera JavaScript SDK to upload a text file to Hedera file service and then download it back again. We then checked that the uploaded file and the downloaded file have the same contents from the script in the script output, and we also verified that the file exists on Hashcan, which is the Network Explorer. Thanks for following along. This sequence was one of several Hello World sequences. Do check out the other sequences too.